what kind of stuff have you done for those, one-to-one type offerings with clients on the strategy, branding, and content side? What do you do with them?
Oh, the majority of them right now, what we're doing is we are recruiting and building out their team. And so what I do is I come in to reverse engineer what are their needs. The problem a lot of people make is they look at the top dogs and the teams they have and they try to replicate those teams and those systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
They watch all these great creators on YouTube that release videos on how their content system. But that's bullshit. That doesn't matter because you're not them. And so the best piece of advice Gary gave me when I moved on was if you go on to ever build something like Team Gary for anyone else, don't build what I built. Reverse engineer their needs, preferences, and skills and build the team around that to be complementary, right? Like if somebody that one of our clients, let's say, for example, and this is not the case, but let's say one of them loves to film and they film all their own content. Well, why would we need to hire a videographer off the get? The first thing, the biggest constraint we're going to have is editing, right? And so that's what we're going to want to hire. But maybe on previous teams, I've hired a videographer first. So we come in and we build a very extensive plan on that. And for some of them, I'm literally doing the hiring. So like I'm interviewing. That's like one of my favorite things as a side note is I love the hiring process. It's so much fun. Even creating job descriptions, I love that shit. So that's a big one. Another big one is there's a couple of really big names in the business creator space that we're working with to help them because they've gotten to, I'd say they got to 80%, and they got to 80% by replicating a lot of the work that my previous team had done, right? And so what they will only be able to ever accomplish is being number two. And so what I'm doing is coming in and working with these creative directors, these brand directors, these team leads to help them establish what does it look like to have a culture where you innovate, you don't copy, right? How do we take you, this very like emerging hardcore in the business entrepreneur space online? How do we make sure that everyone's trying to copy your shit rather than you looking like a duplicate of anyone else? And so that's the two main camps that our clients fall into. And what's fun, Jordan, is like, uh, I love both of those things so much. I would argue probably right now I'm in a season where I like the people side a little bit more, just because I love working with people and investing in people and finding the right characters. But yeah, those are the two areas. And so it's just fun. I get to just, it's less of the shit that I've not liked in the past and a whole hell of a lot more of what I absolutely love. And I think to use I can't remember what terminology or what like world this comes from, but like zone of genius I think is the term that people use.
You mentioned that the kind of first principle, the starting point with this is a good process for a business that is, let's say, kind of focused on video, long form video as the kind of root piece of content, and then they redistribute that across other channels. What does a good process look like for that?
Well, I would ask, does this individual like scripts? Do they like outlines or do they like interviews? Where are they most comfortable? I can tell you right now which of those three is going to perform the best 10 times out of 10 on YouTube. But if they don't like it, it doesn't matter.
Which one out of interest performs the best?
Yeah. Like, well, like which one do you, the person who's going to do this, like the most? Like, what do you feel most comfortable? Because if a direct to camera scripted video is going to be the most optimized version of this video, but you're going to be uncomfortable and fucking awkward as shit throughout it, not worth it, right? I'd rather do more of an interview Q&A based video that we can weave in. So that would be number one. Figure out what are they most comfortable? What are they going to show up the best in, right? Like maybe it's not sitting down in a studio. Maybe it's going out and doing a walk and talk because maybe when they're sitting there with lights and cameras, they get in their head. But when they're out in nature or walking through the city, they're not even thinking about the fact that you're filming them. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is making sure that once we know what the format is, we understand, and this is going to sound basic, but a lot of people don't do this. Making sure we know what we're fucking filming. Okay, so like have the topic generated, know what the title and thumbnail are before you film it. Okay, so come up with the packaging and what the concept is. Mr. Beast, I mean, we've heard it ad nauseum now. You win in the idea. So make sure you have the idea dialed. Then, based on what they said they prefer, build out the prompt. Again, if they're going with like line by line script, okay, cool. It's a full on script. Sometimes people prefer outlines. Or maybe if they want the Q&A, it's just a list of your questions with the answers that you want them to give so that you can guide them to that, right? And you can take them through essentially a direct to camera video without them realizing it. The next thing that you're going to want to do is, and again, this sounds basic, but a lot of people miss this. If you have a team who is creating this pre-production and putting the brief together, meet with the talent beforehand to get approval and make sure they like the video. I can't tell you how many times I have heard about different scenarios where a team that we're working with, historically, their whole process is like they show up day of, and the talent's like, okay, we can film this, but we're going to have to edit it for like an hour before we start filming because I don't like this, this, and this. And guess what that does? That builds momentum in the wrong direction. Momentum is powerful in both ways, good momentum and bad momentum. That is a very bad momentous start. Okay. And so then what you have is you're having to overcome so many different things because whether the talent is saying it or not, in the back of their head, they're like, why the fuck are we doing this? How did we not get this approved ahead of time? Why am I wasting my time on this? And they're thinking about that while they're filming. It's not going to be a good video. So do that. Once all these things are done, then what you're going to do is you're going to set up the environment. Again, you want to make sure that it's conducive to them. So based on what kind of format they said they like, build the best version of that. If you are doing a line by line script, it should not be notes off to the left of the camera. You should have a teleprompter, okay? Unless they have explicitly said, I can't read off a teleprompter. I'll read a line, say it, read a line. Cool. But you should have a teleprompter. If it's more of an outline and it's bulleted, it shouldn't be a teleprompter. What you should do is have a 50 to 55-inch TV off to the left or right of a cam that is massive, that has the Google Doc, the bulleted outline of it, that the team can scroll through so they can reference off camera. If it's Q&A and they don't like having the questions ahead of time, like me and this, well, then you have your list of questions and you just rip off the dome, okay? And then literally make sure that they have their preferred beverages. As the fucking crew on there, watch for, like, right now, my mouth is getting a little dry, right? So I'm going to take a fucking drink. If I didn't have a drink, I fucking promise you, Trevor over here would grab a water and bring it to me. Like, make sure you're noticing these little things. They add up. Every time they say something that's really good after a take, go up and give them a high five or a fist pound. When you're behind the camera and they're talking and they're saying good shit, just like you just did right there, Jordan, nod your head so they know what they're saying is actually interesting, right? These are all little tiny things, but when you add them up, like, here's the reality. I've been doing this behind the scenes for 16 years. I'm now the person in front of the camera, and Trevor does these things. And it's fucking helpful as shit. I had no idea how valuable it was until now I'm on the receiving end. It's a complete game changer. So I would do that. And then, I mean, we can keep going. While you're filming, having somebody on set taking notes of, one, things that maybe something that was said that, you know, we all, in creating content, we say something that we're like, we should cut that. So taking note of anything that should be cut, taking note of anything that wasn't clear in how the talent said it, and taking note of your follow-up question and saving it for the end. And then taking note of any other things like, you know, this would be a great short, whatever. And then what you're going to do is once you finish filming what the talent was planning on filming, you go into follow-ups. I think of content very similarly to a very good VSL. A really good VSL overcomes objections with the prospect before they ever hop on a call. I think really good content overcomes objections before the audience ever hits the comment section. And so what you want is you want your team looking at it through the eyes of the troll, the skeptic, the people on YouTube that are going to give you all the excuses or reasons why this won't work for them. Ask the talent those questions. Make sure to note where, you know, in the script that should be injected in the edit. And then you're going to go into ingesting. And then, you know, that's the whole post-production. But that's how I would go about it.